Even showing this camera. That's why. Hey, let's do the countdown. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello.
Good morning.
Oh, I'm having a little camera balancing. There we go. Hopefully that'll work.
Welcome to Sacred Space Sunday. Welcome to Sacred Space Sunday. Marc is.
Yeah, I'm
Are
good.
you here? Are you arrived at Sacred Space Sunday?
Are you asking me or our guests?
I'm asking you. I see
Yeah,
Auntie here. Good morning, Auntie.
yeah.
Latanya. Yay! Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Latanya.
Yes, I am here. I like I said, got to get a better contraption or configuration for the camera because it doesn't clip. It has like this tripod thing, but it's very unstable. So sometimes I guess when I get excited, if I touch the desk and it shakes, it'll move. So that's what we're doing. So yeah, I'm here. I'm ready. Are you ready? Have you arrived?
I am fully here. Good morning, Cheryl. How are you doing down there in DC? DC Joy, bringing the DC Joy. Thank you. We love it. We love it. And if anybody else is in the house, let us know you here. I'm gonna take it that he's still arriving. He's still arriving. So we're going to give him a chance to do that. So we are the Niyah Center, as you all know. So welcome to Sacred Space Sunday. And we are an interfaith and empowerment community that recognizes and embraces the pluralism of all traditions. So what that means is we respect and uplift any faith that is about universal principles of love and compassion and generosity and just good in the world, and believes in the sanctity of life, of all life, and respects all life. So whatever your faith may be, or if you don't profess any particular faith at all, that too is faith in something. We welcome you, and we seek to transform society through this interfaith engagement, holistic wellness, integrative life programs, and social activism. And I don't know about you, but right now I feel like there is no time greater than for us to come together in mutual support to uplift society. I mean, I am tormented by the things that I see on the news, the things that are happening in the world. I don't know what your experience is, but that is absolutely mine. And, I certainly am one of those people who, as they say, takes on the weight of the world. So I look forward to this time and space as much as you do, to remind myself, to ground myself in that which is mine to do, and that is that which I must release to what I call source. So here on Sacred Space Sunday, we're all about our primary aim, our mission, our vision for our organization, which is to engage, educate, and empower one another through these interfaith conversations. And it is a conversation. So although we're not live and physically in the same space together, um, we are a community, and your voice is valued. So we want to hear you in the comments, your thoughts. I agree. I don't agree. I understand. I don't understand. Yes, some of that, but I've got some questions. We want to see all of that happening in the chat. This is our space, our sacred space, and we're going to look to some sacred texts and ancient wisdom, and like I said, ethical universal principles, and use those to light our path. But hopefully, at the end, we arrive at some individual and collective insight that we can take action upon. Insight plus application equals results. is our framework, our methodology, and our track for empowered living. So, I think if I didn't say, my name is Nee-yah. I am the lead minister, founder, and spiritual director here. We will be joined shortly by Marc Christmas, who's the director of holistic wellness. And if you got any birthdays, we've just entered the month of September. Big up the birthdays in the chat. I've got some family birthdays this month. My father's birthday is this month. Any other birthdays, yours or people you care about, put them in the chat so we can put some happy birthday emotes. If people are on Twitch and got some HBD emotes, put those in the chat. And it's an opportunity to really share what we're creating here with the broader community. We're on all the social media platforms, so look for us there, be active, reshare this post. If you're on Facebook, you can reshare it. If you're on Twitch, you can host our channel. So thank you to everyone that has hosted our channel. And thank you, LaTanya, for resubscribing. So you can support our channel by subscribing, by following. So thanks for the sub, LaTanya. Anything else going on? I'm checking out Twitch to see if there's anything else that's popped off that I might have missed. So thank you. Our followers continue to grow, and we appreciate that. And you can reach us at any time on NiyahCenter@gmail.com for any questions, comments, to be an invited guest here live in the studio. Reiki services, spiritual counseling, whatever you're looking for, we got it. And, the Niyah Center, like many spiritual organizations and nonprofits, how do you host on Twitch? I see you, LaTanya. Great question. So I know it best from being on my phone, but I believe if you put your cursor or your finger, depending on device, in the top right of the screen, then three little pictures will appear. In the one that looks like an eject button, it's a square with a line through it. If you hit that, it gives you a couple of options, and one of those is host the channel. It's no cost, but what it does is, if you're on Twitch, it will just host our broadcast on your channel. And so that's one way you can support and help us. So hopefully that worked. LaTanya, let me know if that worked for you. Oh, Auntie's birthday. Woo, woo. September 19th. Woo, woo. Happy birthday to you. You don't want me to really, really sing, but know that in my heart is a full song. But I can do the Stevie Wonder version, right? Happy birthday to you. So happy birthday to all the September birthdays. Love donations. Again, we survive and we thrive through your love and support, your financial support. And so we will put up in a moment our links. You can Zelle us. We're on Cash App, Niyah Center, $ Niyah Center. It's rolling at the bottom of the screen. The Zelle is NiyahCenter@gmail.com. And certainly your love and support here on the broadcast through subscriptions and cheers also supports us. So that's it for our opening, and appreciate anybody who's new joining us today. Welcome to Sacred Space Sunday. And so let's just take a moment to come together collectively and formally arrive. And so what that looks like for us is what we call a posture of presence, So that's just getting still. If you're in a space to sit, placing your feet on the ground. This can be eyes open, gently lowered, or it can be eyes closed. And next, after you get established, if you're walking, just walk with a mindfulness and a presence, acknowledging the steps. If you're driving, pay attention to the road and listen to our voice. So we're looking for the modality that you are in. And how we find presence is through our breath. Breath is presence. Presence is breath. Breath is life. Life is breath. So just take a moment to find your breath, noticing the in and the out breath, the in and the out breath, at whatever pace serves you. With each breath, connecting to its life-giving properties. Releasing every moment before the breath and trusting every moment that will come after. Release and trust. Release and trust. And so I set that intention for us today as we collectively come together as one mutual energy spirit of oneness, love, and joy. Here to release and trust. Release and trust. And so it is, with all blessings and namaste. All right, Marc, your volume's up a little loud, so we hear every single sound today.
We don't have the Twitch sound coming out as well, do we?
Not on my end.
Okay, because I just want to change to the headphones. I'm not sure why it's loud, but I do have an echo too. You hear an echo?
I do not.
Okay.
Just know that every movement is being captured on your end.
Every movement, release and trust.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Here we are.
I love the posture of presence. Thanks for covering while we found something to do something different with the camera. The release and trust, you added something a little different to it at the beginning, the way you did it today at the beginning, like breathing in the life. I like that. Yeah, I think that's a good reminder, for at least for me. Let me talk about it. It's a good reminder for me to breathe, just to breathe. You know, that's a essential part that can often be forgotten or neglected for so many reasons. So, are you going to lead us in our affirmation for today?
Sure.
Okay.
So we want
for the week. I apologize for the week.
Yeah, it's for the 2 weeks until we meet again. So we ask that you take these affirmations, you embody them, you look to put them part of your routine, and saying them daily, at least once in the morning when you awake, and again before you go to bed at night. But ideally is to put it on your phone, make it one of the banner on your phone so that it reminds you throughout the day who you are and what it is that you are focusing on. So the affirmation for the day, and wherever you are, take this opportunity to repeat after me. Repeat after me. I ask and I receive. I knock and doors are opened. I search and I find. So let's say that one more time. I ask and I receive. I knock and doors are opened. I search and I find. And so with all our affirmations and work that we do here, we suggest that you consider doing some judgment-free journaling of what comes up for you, what thoughts arise, what you think about when you hear and when you say this affirmation. So consider putting that into your routine as well.
Yeah. That's beautiful. I ask and I receive. I knock and doors are open. I search and I find. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that. All right. Well, Nate, thank you for leading us through the what do they call it? The housekeeping as well as the heart keeping. I'll call that the heart keeping with the posture of presence and then the affirmations. And as we come into this next part of the program, I know you said you don't sing, but before Nate, before you jump off, just join me. Let's just join. You know, it is my favorite auntie. So, 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday, auntie. Happy birthday, auntie.
It's birthday, Mom.
Happy birthday.
Time to celebrate. We love you. We love you. We love you. Welcome,
We love you.
Cousin Andrew Jewel. Love you too. Heart back at you.
So that was awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Birthday remix.
We got all sorts of music and stuff going on today. So today is it's a new month, Nay. It is a new month. It is. I can't believe it's already the 9th month of the year. It just seemed like we were getting ready to, do New Year's Eve, just a couple of months ago. But it's the 9th month of the year. School has started in many places, or will start this week, in places that it hasn't started yet. So by the end of this week, all kids will be back in school. I know I've been in a teaching environment. I'm teaching at a high school here officially. Well, I was the official guest teacher, but I'm an official full-time educator starting my journey in the education sector. And it's been really amazing. What was interesting, because this really ties into the talk, Nay, as you said, these are unprecedented times in our nation, and I would venture to say in our world, but definitely in our nation. And even though we say unprecedented, there's some things that similarly conceptually have happened before that are happening now, right? And so, there's the saying, nothing new under the sun. And so the actual legislation that's being moved might be different than the particular legislation, but using legislation as a tool for oppression and supremacy and things of that nature, that's not new, right? From way back, even before America. So that those things are still happening today. But with the pandemic tied into it, that's why I would say unprecedented. So as the kids are returned back to school, I know we went back the 30th, which was, I think, last Monday. It seems like one. And I found myself very anxious and nervous getting ready to have this experience. And wasn't sure, why having the anxiety. I've been to guest teaching for a year. I've been in this environment, in this same school for the past year. I know the faculty. I know how to get around the building. I know how to get to and from work. And so I wasn't sure what was going on with me. And I had this feeling of nervousness. And the night before, I couldn't really sleep. And so, woke up, several times before the alarm, and just went to the school. And what I found was that there was a feeling of excitement that was coming and happening. There was a feeling of the unexpected, and what I'm able to connect to and what I share is that I think sometimes when you get those feelings of nervousness and things of that nature, that's just telling you're up to big stuff, right? You're up to big stuff. And so I'm looking to embrace those feelings of nervousness, and that's just the universe and the confirmation that you're up to big stuff and the stakes are high. And so given that, I wanted to start off our talk today with a reading. Now, we always, here at the Niyah Center, we believe in giving credit to whom credit is due. So if we get something from somebody else, we usually like to put their name or things of that nature. In this particular piece that I'm going to read, I actually don't have an author's name. And I searched. And so if the author is ever to hear this, please let us know who you are, and we certainly will acknowledge you. But the place where I got it says, P.S. I love you. Like you P.S. at the end of a letter, I love you. And so I'm going to call this a reading from P.S. I love you. I'm holding you even now. And banging on the door, they come. Breaking chords of life's pleasant notes and drum. I'm holding you even now. when they prod and poke and make demands, accusing you of having dirty hands. I'm holding you even now. When winter comes, despite December not, freedom stolen, clean by unexpected bullet shot. I'm holding you even now. Can you feel the warmth of my skin, molding us where you end and I begin? I'm holding you even now. When fear foils your step and grips your heart, every moment of the night and from the morning start, I'm holding you even now. When your name takes a blow, shame becomes your glow, and face you lower, refusing to show. I'm holding you even now. Moment by moment, every day. For we are cords interwoven amid the fray. I'm holding you even now. My eternal love, when you believe no one else will. For your name to me resounds purely from atop every hill. I'm holding you even now. For you, I bear unconditional and unadulterated love. And when trouble swirls, I am your everlasting dove. By P.S. I love you. By P.S. I love you. So I want to just go ahead and as you see on the screen earlier, the topic that we want to talk about today is even now. You know, and there's a scripture in Joel. It's in the Hebrewic Testament. It's Joel 2, verse 12. It says, even now declares the Lord, return to me with all your heart, with fasting and weeping and mourning. Joel 2:12. And that's you can find that in the New Revised Standard Version. Those are different translations of the Bible, but any version will be similar. He says, even now, return to me with all your heart. Now I said, even now, what does it mean when they say the term even now? It means like now as well as before, or even after all these years, right? It means in spite of what has happened, it means I understand even now. It means at this very moment, so very likely you are even now, in this moment. And so even now, return to me with all your heart. Now, the word return in the scripture to me implies there was some kind of going apart, or going away from each other. It makes me think of like in a relationship. You're in a relationship, and that relationship is seems to be broken, or you have a breakup, and that could be a romantic relationship. It could be a familial relationship. It could be a friend, a relationship, but there's a breakup of that relationship. And so often when we go through a breakup in a relationship, the way there's a couple of stages that are associated with that, right? And they say some of these stages are, the first one would be denial, and so, people, you say, oh no, it's not that bad. It's all right. It's no, we're not where we used to be, but it's just because we're a long way apart. It's because I've got a lot of stresses in my life. Oh, it's because of this or that. But there's a denial that goes along with not wanting to clearly be honest with what the stage of your relationship is. And so maybe some of you can relate to that, and maybe some can, but I know that I have certainly had those places. And then another stage of when you can identify when you're going through this breakup is anger. And so you're pissed off about, I can't believe they did me that way. Unmute me. I can't believe that this storm came and just tore down my house. I can't believe that that he broke my heart like that. I can't believe, I mean, there's this anger that comes along with, man, if I see them, they better cross the street. If I see them in 100 years, it'll be too soon. They can kick rocks. I mean, we say all sorts of things sometimes in our mouth and out of our mouth when we're in this anger stage, right? We're in this anger stage. And then there's a stage they call the bargaining, right? And where you're saying, well, what if you do this and I do that? Or what if these conditions were altered? I mean, would that be okay? And we tend to want to bargain, or in some cases, it may be not just a bargain to accommodate. It may be a bargaining, which is a full compromise of who you are. Right, and bargaining, and then there comes a depression, the sadness that you just seems hard to move forward. You may say things like, I can never believe in a God that allows this to happen. I can never trust a God that let these things go on in the world. I can never follow a God that people say that they follow when they're doing and saying the things that they're saying out of their mouth. I can't move forward with that, and even if I thought I wanted to, I become so clouded and my heart becomes so hardened that I just can't move forward, and then you get some acceptance with it. You get to accept, you're not in denial. You're not upset. You just are able to recognize that you are in a different place. Now, they say sometimes there's a life, there is a season and a reason, right? Whether that be for people, whether that be for circumstances, whether that be for situations. And so, yeah, some people are going to come in your life and you're not going to have a continuous relationship with them, right? Some things, situations, workplaces, and different kind of things you might be involved in, activities, social groups. Some things will come into your life and not continue to be a part of your life. And so, you get identified as a breakup, right? Can you hear me? Okay. It's not an external thing, when this thing is the source of who you are, when this thing is part of the creation of who you are. It's kind of like, imagine breaking up with your heart, or breaking up with your lungs, or breaking up with your brain, and with maybe I just have to switch off of these headphones, and we'll see how that works. And so just give me 1 second, y'all, and we will go with this different situation. And I apologize for, come on. All right, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? All right, so let's just move these things out the way. So I might need to break up with those headphones. See, I can remove the headphones which have an external situation which they're living with. Can you hear me? Can you see me? You don't hear me. I'm frozen. Okay, got it. It's just frozen on my screen. So I'm gonna move. But when you break up with who you are in that's things that are your physical, I'd say you can't move on, right? You really can't move forward, because I can't live without my brain. I can't live without my heart. And when I get honest with it, I can't live without my source, right? I can't live without that connection to source. And see, now, man, me in my mind, I would say, man, forget God. I get back to God later, or whatever the situation is. God understands, he knows, he's compassionate. He'll be there. And God says, even now, return to me with all your heart. So, they talk about the story of the prodigal son in the Bible. And in the prodigal son, that story of the prodigal son, the son and, the father had done all he could, provided all these great things for his son. And then the opportunity for the son to come back home presented itself. And, it doesn't get into the detail of what the son was doing, but, it implies, and I've heard some reverend interpretations, that's interpretations with reverend interpretations of the prodigal son, that he went out and he was out there and he was partying and he was, as they say, he was fornicating and he was doing all of these things,
feeding his flesh and the body and carnal. So maybe he was, maybe he was. I don't know. What we do know is that he was apart from this father and this family for some period of time. And the father and the family missed his son dearly. And they would think about him all the time. And they didn't know if the son was thinking about him or not. And then one day the son shows up. And the father is filled with joy. And as the father is filled with joy, he says, I'm going to throw a party for you. He says, son, even now that you've been gone for 50 years, I love you. Son, even now that you've been out and you turned your back or you're ashamed our name, even now I love you and I'm happy that you're back. And I got to imagine that God knew that there would be some moments for even now for me and for you. And they wrote this scripture thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago to say, even now, return to me with all your heart. So you might be asking me, how do I come back? How do I come back to God? And I say there's four things. And so the first thing is soften your heart. You gotta soften your heart, meaning, be in a space of unhardened heart, open heart, willingness to have it molded, willingness to have it interacted with in a way that maybe you hadn't interacted with. Second thing you get to do is fast. Now, fasting is adopted in many cultures and many traditions, and many things, and people approach fasting differently, and it's not a right way or a wrong way to fast. What I tell you, what's common about fasting is the purpose of a fast is to release blockages and get clarity. So if you're doing a lemonade fast at the start of the year, you're trying to release those blockages that are in your intestine and system and get some clarity so stuff can flow on through. If you're doing a spiritual fast, you might be fasting, excuse me, from putting some things in you, right? And to get some clarity on what it is that God will have for you. So whatever form of fast that be, whether that be food or fasting from behaviors or fasting in denying something that may be in a way of your clarity, right? Because when you fast, you want to take this time with the intention of getting clarity, right? Now, the third thing is, and coming back, how you come back, and if you read that scripture again, even now, return to me with all your heart. That's the softened heart. With fasting, right? And weeping. So, number 3, go through it. Whew. You got to be willing to go through the pain, whatever those feelings are of fear or guilt, and feel the tears, let the tears flow, if that is what's happening now. But be willing to experience your experience from those situations. Right? Be willing to be with them and knowing that this too will pass. So, because when you go through it, right, and you share it in whichever way, then you can receive the blessings that God has in store. And that's why he says, even now, come back. Even now, return to me with all your heart. So even now, return to me. If you lost all that you had that you held precious, even now, come on back. If you're in a situation and your family is turning it back on you, you can say, even now, return to me. If you're in a situation where things just don't seem to work out for you, they're not going your way, you try to do right, but you can't do right for doing wrong. Even now, return to me. Even now, return to me. If you think like, hey, all of my health is gone and all is abandoned, even now, return to me. But Lord, I've been persecuting Christians and talking bad about who you are or holding those that are spiritually sound in a place of desecration. He says, even now, return to me. Well, God, I curse a lot of, I like to womanize, or I like to manize. Even now, return to me. Well, God, I'm at the end of the rope, Lord, but I ain't got too much time ahead of me, and I've lived a life of not following your will. And God says, even now, return to me. Even now, return to me. And so, as we look to wrap this up, I want to give you our insight plus application equals results. Insight plus application equals results. So as you think about that, there's the basis for this, and you heard it in the affirmation that we shared earlier. I'm calling this the ask, search, knock, right? Ask, and it will be given to you. Search, and you will find. Knock, and the door will be open for you. For everyone. Let me emphasize, for everyone. It doesn't say for Christians. It don't say for Muslims. It doesn't say for agnostics. It doesn't say for men or for women or for short people or tall people or for black people or people of non-color. It says for everyone who asks, receives. And everyone, not if you've done right for the majority of your life, but now but done wrong for the majority of your life. It doesn't say for only those that walk the straight and narrow. It doesn't say for those that have operated inside the circle or for those that see black. He says for everyone who searches finds. And for everyone who knocks, the door will be open. And that's Matthew chapter 7, verse 7 through 8. And so here are the 4 steps for our application today. Here's the application. So we've shared the insight. We know that God says, return to me. Don't matter what the circumstances. Don't matter how long. Return to me. Return to me. Right? And then the other good thing we know that God says, ask. Right? Ask. Seek. Search. Whatever you want to call it. And knock. Right? And so here are the steps. Number 1 for the application. Doesn't matter what your tradition. If you follow these steps, I promise and I believe with all that's within me that you will see some results. Number 1, pray and ask God to help you surrender. I mean, be fully opening your heart, your mind, and your spirit. And whatever you choose to pray to, but pray and ask. Right? Now, number 2, like uninhibited, unadulterated, search your heart. So search your heart without inhibition, without any shade or window, without any judgment. Set your heart and spirit to identify anything that might be in the way. Search your heart and spirit to identify anything that might be in the way. Number 3, now it's time to put out your chest and put up your head, right? Put your shoulders back and walk boldly, walk proudly into your door of possibility. That's your what's next, right? Knowing and trusting that with God you can. So 1 is pray and ask for help. 2 is search your heart and spirit. 3 is to walk proudly into your door of possibility. Now the 4th step, this is the final step in this application. Is to declare and affirm. Declare and affirm. Excuse me. Declare and affirm is this final step. So you've done those 3, right? You know, if you look at the scripture we had earlier, you're returning to me with an open heart, with a soft heart, with fasting and weeping and mourning. You've done those things, right? And now you're ready to embrace what God has for you. You at that prodigal son, you're ready out there to eat the lamb that was slain and party and hug your loved ones and be in the mix of what the father has for the son. So declare and affirm. And I'll call this creating your ASK. And now I know I didn't put that down. So if you hear me as A period, S period, K period, it's an acronym. Create your ask list. Create your ask list, and so when you declare firm or you set a goal, the best way to get that thing on getting realized is to write it down. So that's what we're going to say. Create a list. You've done all these other things before. Create a list of things you will receive because of your relationship with God. Create a list of doors that will be opened. And create a list of things you will find that you've been searching for. Create your ask list, right? The acronym. Create a list that you will receive because of your relationship with God. Ask and it will be given to you. Number 2, create a list of doors that will be open. That means like knock and the door will be open for you. And create a list of things where you will find. Search and you will find. Search and you will find. That's the insight plus the application, which can lead to some results. Now, y'all, I'm in this process for myself. I'm not speaking at you. I'm not telling you that I'm the sage on the stage, or that I'm just, as Sylvia Hines would say, I'm this baked cake. But I'm in process. God's not through with me yet. There's sometimes where I do it pretty good, and there's sometimes when I don't do it so good at all. And even now, I trust that God has a possibility for me, still waiting for me, if I am willing to ask, search, and knock, even now. Man, if you could come on, I need to refresh my screen because it's frozen over here. So I hope y'all saw and heard me with that.
We did hear you. We did hear you. We had a note that the message must come through. Technical difficulties won't stop it. So we could hear you and we could see you, although it was a picture and not moving. If you have tuned into Sacred Space Sunday in the past, you could imagine the energy that physically accompanied that message, and what a powerful message we just heard. So yeah, I want to return to this quote that Marc shared with us from the Bible, Joel 2, and really, really powerful message. And even now, and what I take away from here, right? It says, even now, and then a little further in the passage, it says, return to me. And what is so clear to me is this universal message. Meditation. This is meditation. What is meditation? What is mindfulness? Returning. It is a method for returning. As we've talked about, meditation and mindfulness is returning to presence. It's returning to breath. It is returning to that which is your faith. As we talked about here, faith is your internal experience of ultimate concern. And that ultimate concern is what goes by whatever name you would call it: God, source, mother, goddess, universe, love, intelligence, the all-knowing, that ultimate concern. So returning to that ultimate concern through your breath, which is that manifestation. It is that experience of life, of the creator, of your existence, of your connection to that one ultimate concern. So even now, right? We said the power of presence. We started with a posture of presence, which is now. So even now, returning to me. So this message, for those of you who would want to put it in a box of being simply a message to those who ascribe to the Bible and identify themselves as Christian, you would miss it. You would miss it. You would miss this universal message that is contained within this sacred text, because that is what the opportunity is, to go to this ancient wisdom, these sacred texts, and to read them and then put them through the filter of your own experiential understanding of reality, of spirituality, of truth. Even now, return. That is what faith is all about. That's what rituals are all about. That's what the practice is all about returning. It is about now. It's about being present. And so this is what is embodied in this message that is so universal in nature, yet captured in Joel 2:12, the Bible. So what a powerful message. Marc, thank you. We see you. And so was just talking about the universal nature of this message and how it's a reflection of meditation, in that it speaks to presence in the evening now and returning. And the returning, that's what meditation and mindfulness is all about: returning to the breath. We say, I talk about how for so long I said I I can't meditate. My brain is always moving. I think too much. I can't stop the chatter, right? and it was so liberating when I understood that, like, yeah, that's human. That's the way brains work. That's what minds do. And that has nothing to do with it, because just when you notice that, just notice it. Don't judge it, and then return to your breath. Just refocus on your breath. Continue to return. And that is the heart of your message here, that no matter what's going on in your life, you know, the chatter of life, right? Like the chatter that disrupts mindfulness and meditation, all of the chatter and circumstances of life, no matter what they are, just continue to return to the presence, and that presence, by whatever name you identify that presence. So very powerful message, steeped in ancient wisdom and ancient texts, with a universal message for all. So.
Thank you. So, you know, I like the timing that you just did with the mindfulness, what we call mindfulness, but really is, as you described, about being present, and in that present you get to experience what's fully available. And so, as that can look many ways, I hadn't thought about that as a part when I was sharing the script. I'll tell you, the thing just kept taking on life. Just even now, just kept taking on life. But as I said, I had to take I got so much heat emanating from my energy. From my glasses fogged up like I got a mask on. So can you read that for us, please?
Yeah, it says, I ask and I receive, declare and affirm. Doesn't really work, does it? God gives you what you need, not what you want. So ask and will receive what God wants you to have, not what you ask for many, many times. So thank you for that, Cheryl. And I just want to take this moment. And so she goes on to say, I've been disappointed many times. Right? As have all of us. I don't know too many humans who have walked this path who haven't been disappointed. But before we get into the substance of your comment, which we very much appreciate, and thank you for sharing it, we want to use this as an opportunity to say that this is exactly what Sacred Space Sunday is all about. That we don't always have to agree, and that our message is meant to raise a conversation. And so we put forward our own personal point of view and our own personal beliefs, and then say, so now what do you think? You know, and where are you coming from? And what is your perspective? And there's certainly no one way. So I really want to just start by affirming your use of your voice and declaring this as a space where we're open here. And so as Marc gathers his thoughts in response to this, I would just like to share, you know, what comes up for me.
Please do.
So as you gather your thoughts, I'll just go ahead and share mine. So yeah, this whole thing, God gives you what you want, you know, and not what you, I mean, God gives you what you need, not what you want. So, you know, there's the saying that say, you know, we plan and God laughs, right? We plan and God laughs. So there's an intention that we have for our lives, and then, you know, it doesn't always turn out that way. So I believe in the tension of life, the both and, not a either or. So I would not frame it as God gives you what you need, not what you want, because that's more of a binary, you know, either or, need or want. I would say it's a both and. I personally believe the universe always says yes. The universe always says yes. So I personally do believe ask and receive, declare and affirm, and you will receive it. I believe that sometimes we get the thing that we didn't want and don't realize that somehow we can contribute it to that. Oh gosh, Naomi, what you talking about? I didn't want that. Right? Look, I am struggling with money. I am paycheck to paycheck. I am always broke. I do not want that. I don't want that. So somehow God did show up and some money came and I was able to fix my car, but I'm still living paycheck to paycheck. I do not want that. And I said, God, I don't want to be broke no more. So why is that showing up in my life? I didn't want that. But yet I'm getting it. Well, this is where it can get complicated. All that
or not.
that you having about broke is what you're drawing into your life. So that very thing that you don't want is what you're always in a conversation about. And the universe, all it hears is broke. Okay. This is why we do affirmations. This is why we do mindfulness and meditation, to be very conscious and active about our thoughts and our words. Because our thoughts and words can bring things into our life that we don't want nor need without our conscious awareness. So that's one point. And I'm going to wrap up real quick and then turn it over to Marc. And then there are things that happen in our life that are just not all awesome. Things happen in our life that are not good. Things happen to people that are not good, that are disappointing. And that is also a human reality. And then there is an opportunity within those spaces to see what is it that I am to learn, to know, to move past, to move through with the support of community and my spiritual understanding, because of what is this message to take forth as my testimony. Because if I'm still here living and breathing, then there's still a purpose on my life. And how do I use that? So I'll stop. And Marc, you can agree, disagree, or come from your perspective.
No, I thank you, Naomi and Cheryl. That is an excellent inquiry, right? And there aren't any bad inquiries, but I appreciate that inquiry. Let me say that. So thank you for that reflection. And there's in the chat actually 2 comments that speak to it. So in the spirit of, what Sacred Space Sunday is, allowing folks to use their voice, I like to do that before I go in and start to talk on top of that. And as you see from this person, it said, being specific about the ask is often the challenge. And I think that's what you were saying in a different way. He said, but when you're specific, if you're not specific, right, the universe just goes ahead and fills in the blanks, right? I want to be better. I want more, right? Right? Be specific, and the universe will fill in the blanks. And then Tanya had a comment, so thank you for that. I forgot how we said Monty. What do we Monty Navy?
Monty NBI, I think. Monty NBI.
And we know we just have fun. That's how we thought the pronunciation. Right. And Latanya says she believes the universe always says yes. Right? What happens is we don't always want what we say we want. Our words don't always align with our thoughts, which impact our behavior, thoughts, or things. And so, Tanya, I mean, there's a whole lot in those couple of sentences. Yes, what we say out of our mouth, not the passing thought in our mind, but the things that we really contemplate. That means the things that we focus on internally, and then our energy goes towards it. Those things begin to manifest and impact how things show up. And so I believe that is also a part of the solution of what's happening there. Good morning, Marino. You changed your name, huh? Okay, good morning. And then, let's get Cheryl's other comment up there, and then we'll go ahead and add on this, is I believe we convince ourselves that we don't really want that thing we really want. And therefore, the universe always says yes. The beauty of mindfulness and faith is we always make the universe and our thoughts align. Okay, Cheryl. So, I mean, all of those comments, and if you're watching this, you could probably scroll back up and see some of the comments. If you're watching this on Twitch, definitely some of the comments came in through Twitch. But those comments also, because we highlight them, should post back in the replay. Asking is it's not a complex word. It's 3 letters, A-S-K. Ask, right? Now, what I've learned is that I want to ask the universe, I want to ask God to do something that's outside of me. God, make Nate be nice to me and love me as a wife, right? God, let the people at my job give me favor. God, you know, let the traffic, the people not cut me off. God, right? I want to ask something for others outside of myself. And sometimes I believe there's some accommodations, right? Because they say, God is graceful and merciful. And so sometimes I may ask for some of those things that are outside of myself and they show up, right? And as I'm learning to ask for myself, God, give me knowledge of the will. God, give me the courage to be able to face these fears or face these things. Even now, God, help me to be clear. Help me to be willing to go through the stuff. See, there is no promise that, we can't always get what we want, because I want it to be 75 degrees and sunny every day. Every day, 365 days a year, every year of life that I live. However, but if there was no rain, I wouldn't appreciate the sun. If there was no fall, no time for the leaves and the trees to regenerate themselves and the other animals and stuff to come and matriculate through the land, we wouldn't have the ecosystem working. So if there was no summer, I wouldn't appreciate the winter. And so the opportunity is for me to get clear on asking for knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, right? To be able to deal with it. Because it don't say situations won't exist. You want to ask for situations versus the fortitude, asking for the knowledge. Help me to know what to do when this thing happens. Help me to understand that even though I don't see it, you're there. It's going to be provided to me. And when I get there, I'll have exactly what I need.
So I love what you said at the beginning. I thought you made all of it was great, but I love the part at the beginning, because I think you made a really critical distinction about our wanting and asking, and that another facet of human nature is to have all kinds of asks and wants and demands and everything else about somebody else. And that is not how it works. We actually don't get to, like, I want this person at my job to stop doing. Right? That actually is not the way it works. So what we could ask is, let me have a compassionate heart. Let me be open. Let me see this person at work for who they are in the soul and the spirit that they are, in our mutuality and our oneness. Let me have patience. Right. So yeah, there can be a lot of disappointment when we're wishing and asking. And again, Cheryl, this is nothing at this point around your comment, but we just talking in general here. Now, that there's a lot of disappointment, that so much of our disappointment in life is wrapped up in unmet expectations around something and someone outside of ourselves. And it becomes...
Say that again, Niyah. Say that again.
So much of our disappointment in life is wrapped up in our unmet expectations stemming from something or someone else outside of ourselves. This is the basis of most of life's frustrations, pain, and disappointments. So one of the most transformative things that each of us can do is to understand when we are reacting to an unmet expectation of something outside of ourselves, which was really an unrealistic and unreasonable expectation. Yeah, I wish it would be like, why can't they just? I wish the stuff I see on the news just wasn't happening. I mean, like, deep in my soul, it is not meeting any of my expectations of how I would like this world to exist. And I feel it. I feel that pain, like, in my body.
And and along with that,
and to the extent that I hold on to that and think that I have control over it, or that God's not showing up for me because it's not different, is a misunderstanding on how the world works. Go ahead, Marc.
I wasn't cutting you off. I was adding, knowing that many times those unmet expectations are even unrealized by the people who didn't meet them, right? How many times do I expect that a person's gonna do something? I've never told them I expect that, but they just didn't do it, and I'm pissed. Kimberly says, you are on her street. Yeah, these unmet expectations are powerful, right? Because they can lead to, when you talk about upset, you know, they lead to all sorts of things, you know, not just internally, but externally, right? And so unmet expectations, you know, and part of that is because we just don't have the clarity. And that's what I think we talked about, the insight plus the application, that some type of regular fasting is important, because life will happen and we'll get clouded up. You know, we'll do a whole 30 and then I decide I want some of Angie's macaroni and cheese, and I want some other things. I want a glass of milk with that yellow cake with the chocolate ice in it. You know, I want a big, I mean, not just one scoop, 2 scoops of ice cream with some whipped cream on it. I decided I want a big pot of beans and rice, and the things that I hadn't been having, which had
He's hungry, y'all. He's hungry. He's hungry.
And then what'd you say next?
He's hungry. He's hungry, y'all.
Well, I'm just saying that the fasting is important. That's just from a physical measure. You know what I'm saying? You talk about, we was out of work for 30 days or 2 weeks. I've been away. Now that I come back and they done put all this stuff on my desk. I got 1,000 emails now in my email. The people in the elevator didn't hold the elevator for me. I mean, all these things happen and they create these blockages, which is in fact get in the way of our clarity. So then start to be in reaction versus responsible, right? And so when I'm responsible, I've got clarity and I know how to move and say, I'll pause for a second before I release this upsetness. Or why am I upset? You know, is there something else that I could be doing to switch this from an upset to a setup? Anyway, go ahead. Thank you, Mr. Man.
Yes, so many great comments. So I want to go back to this comment from Lamont, and the awareness in the moment to realize that you are reacting to an unmet expectation. That's yours. That's your stuff. You and your ego and what you expect of life, and that's what you're experiencing and reacting to have that awareness in the moment to make a different choice. Yeah, that's the challenge. You being able to do that, that's when you walk in that faith walk, and now you climbing that level of awareness and reaching a different level of vibration. You know, that's
you're on a different frequency. You're vibrating way up here.
Yeah, that's what Eckhart Tolle is. You in that power of now, Eckhart Tolle, high level vibration, when you're able to do that. And so what it comes to is that life of mindfulness. So last fall, when I was taking my Buddhist course, and every week we were given a different meditative practice that we had to incorporate and do each week. And I will tell you that during that period, I was among the most aware, alert, and vibrating at that higher level that I've ever been in my life, because it was all about each day using a particular tool to move throughout the day, not just sitting down for a sit for 15 minutes, for 30 minutes, to in that moment contemplate and be present, but to move through your day with an intentionality and a presence. It wasn't easy. I'm not going to say I always did it, but I will say
it's simple, but it ain't easy. Simple, but it ain't easy.
Yeah, but I did it more than before I took on these practices. So there is a way that you can move in the world. And so when you encounter some of these people, and I tell you, it's worth taking a look at the Buddhist traditions and understanding that the way that they look at the world and incorporating these practices in your life, because there is a reason why when you see a Thich Nhat Hanh talk, and there's a deliberation of peace, a kind of slow-mo, yet very present and palpable experience of these individuals. They're like living in that even now.
Yeah.
And now. and now. And in that now, you can have that awareness. You will catch it before it ever comes out your mouth because you're at that level of intentionality. But when we're on the go doing, Western capitalistic American, like New York style, let's keep it moving. We just pushing through life and then cleaning it up best we can afterwards.
Yeah, I love that, the comment. I want to just hit on that even now that you mentioned, and as we tied it into the scripture, it's kind of like, if I could think of, I come home and the toothpaste cap ain't on the toothpaste. Well, I'm mad at her. I could just put the toothpaste cap back on and move, or the dinner ain't cooked, or now she done asked me something and I don't want to give it to her. But God, and what he says is it's possible, because if you return to me and that oneness of spirit and connection and you're vibrating way up here, it don't matter what they left the toothpaste off, or they left the shoes and you tripped over it, or said something the way you don't like. Because even now, I love you. Go ahead with the next comment.
Yeah. So Latanya, is God waiting on me? Yeah. The universe, I would believe Allah, God, the creator of all, the universal energy, the presence. I believe the presence is always waiting on us. I believe that we were all created with a purpose, manifested from the one, and that the creator is always waiting for us to fulfill that presence, to acknowledge its presence, to be engaged with the rest of life in the awareness of that presence. So I personally believe that part of that return is that that you've got a God, or by whatever name or language that you use, that is always waiting for you, but not waiting impatiently, not waiting angrily, not waiting so that they can punish or scold you, waiting like, okay, I'm literally always here. I'm always here. And the moment you want to return, tap in, draw from. Okay. That's the beauty. That's the beauty.
Yeah.
So yeah, Cheryl, I'll let you take this one. Cheryl saying she's, connecting the dots and saying some clarity around how to frame the talk today.
So the word universe makes it so need to include this criteria when we say I ask and I receive. The word universe makes it appear all inclusive. Criteria 1, it's 100% in my control. Yeah, that's a really interesting way to put that. The criteria around how you're saying and what you're saying, and so I think that also what I'm learning, what I'm offering and inviting is to still give some space for grace with yourself, right? Because you're gonna sometimes fall, and if you don't fall, you wouldn't know how to get up. You're gonna sometimes miss the mark, and if you don't miss the mark, you wouldn't know what it feels like to hit the mark. But it's the act of continuing to be in awareness that I missed the mark, and then I want to keep practicing until I hit the mark, and not just hit it once. You hit it once, but ooh, I can quit now. But let me practice such that I hit the mark on a regular basis. And so getting to that point of having a clarity when I ask. So sometimes I ask and I'm not clear about it, and the thing happens, I'm like, oh, I wasn't clear enough. Let me tell you, this is what I really should have said, right? And This is what I'm going to say next time, Lord. Don't fix her, fix me, such that I don't even see or affected by her.
Yeah. And so I offer a shift in language a little bit to capture the spirit of what Cheryl offered and what you're saying. And it's this notion of co-creation. So yes, we're saying I get to be mindful of and aware of my own thoughts, right? I'm fat. Oh my God, I'm so fat. Then what's going to be my experience? If that's my thought, an awareness of myself. I'm not saying I necessarily say that out loud, but every time I look in the mirror, every time I put some clothes, I'm fat. This is my internal talk, right? Then what is going to be my experience, right? So yes, and again, this I love the yes and, the both and, the yes and. So yes and in my control, but it is actually co-creation. Because if I get too caught up, it's in my control, right? I say and it is, I do and it is, I think and it is. Then we're still missing that this is a co-creation. It's almost like that there is this, I don't know, this, I'm going to create this metaphor that may, or a visual that may or may not work for people. You know, it's as if there's this deep space out there that exists, a space that's waiting to take input, data input, right? So like, let's think of it a computer, right? A big computer that's just as a box sitting there waiting for data to be uploaded. And that upload can happen mentally, it can happen verbally, it can happen physically. It's just waiting for it, right?
Yes.
And so I can think the thoughts, say the words, do the things, but without that pocket of computer to upload into it and turn it into something, it doesn't mean anything. So it's co-creation. It is our thoughts. It is our words. It is our actions that when met with the power of the universe becomes reality. So it is co-creation. It's not 100% us, because that would put too much power in our human bodies. I don't literally run the world, right? I don't even literally run myself. Right? We talked about this. I can't make my heart beat, stop beat, breath start, stop. I can do it for a little bit, but not indefinitely. It's that co-creation. And so it is that mindfulness of, yes, my part, I got to be mindful of my part, because it's not going to fall down on its job. If I put it out there, it's going to do its job. It's going to process that data and spit it right back out. So what data do I want it to process and spit out?
Ooh, you saying some stuff. Now, I'm glad this is recorded, because I heard her say, I don't literally run the world. And sometimes I might just need to have that as evidence, as a reminder, because as you say, sometimes we forget, you know. Now, don't throw those stones. He will without
I gotta return and remember. Even now, I gotta return and remember.
He would cast the first stone. And so this has been a wonderful conversation. I had no idea where this was going to go just a couple of days ago. And I was praying. I was like, what is it? The topic, you know, we're getting close, God. What, you know, you talk about asking you, you're getting close. You're outside of my comfort zone. I should have known. I should have known a week ago. You know. And the other thing is, because of sometimes I put these pressures on God, not even because of myself, but because of how I think other people think what they should be thinking or should be happening, right? And so it's this whole thing is a growth process. And that's why you say judgment free. We use that term so much, because we're not going to get it right as many times. We may get it wrong 99 out of 100 times. And the difference in human and spirit and source and the great creator, the supreme being is even now. And so my prayer is that I look to adopt that even now, because that's the one I'm resisting to.
Well, with that, I think it's a good opportunity to pray us out of here.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we'll switch to Twitch in a second for After Space for just a few minutes. We'll play a few songs for us and have some conversation, continue this conversation, or even expand on other areas. But as you talk about prayer, as I just invite you, before we go into a prayer, that you look to inhale the spirit of all that there is. And as you just continue to inhale and the circulation of the spirit of life, the spirit of love, the spirit of peace, the spirit of joy, as you inhale it, and then you circulate it back into the world. And we inhale in spirit. So bring in this spirit. Respiration. And we inspire it. We share the spirit back with the universe. And I come and say, even now, God, help me even now. Show me even now. Lord, I feel like it may be too late. Or it's too much. I can't deal with the circumstances and the pressures of life. I'm having a hard time living check to check as in my mind, because I see it as my needs ain't met in the way I want them to be. But Lord, but I'm not asking, Lord, to show me what's in the way. Show me what would have that seed be more fruitful, to be plentiful. Lord, it ain't me, it's others. So even now, whatever my mind says, Lord, make space for me to return to you. Make space for me to connect with the great I am, with the power of creation, with the unconditional love that you are. That even now, Lord, if I'm feeling sick in my body or weary in my bones, that even now, my burden is too heavy. I can't carry it. I've been crying for 30 days straight. Lord, I got this pain in my back. It just won't go away. Lord, I try to get up and move, and I just got to sit because I can't move. I don't have what it is that I need to move. Lord, this relationship, I've had enough, and I just can't take it no more. That even now, Lord, that you show me that there is a way and a path to connect to this higher vibration. And that with God, that with you, all things are possible. Lord, I'm asking that you show me how to connect to your will. I'm asking that you allow peace to be there in the midst of the storm. Lord, I'm asking that you take this burden from me. Even though I gotta walk, that you're gonna carry it. Even now, Lord, I'm knocking and asking that the door of opportunity be open. Lord, even now, I'm knocking and I'm asking that the door of courage be open. Even now, Lord, I am knocking and I'm asking that willingness and open-heartedness be open. Lord, I'm seeking for love. Unconditional love, and I'm seeking to be one aligned in a way to be able to walk through these situations and circumstances and unmet expectations and upsets and disappointments and sickness and depression and Lord, all those things that happen, that I am seeking to walk proudly with my head, knowing that with you all things are possible. And in this moment, we just say thank you. Thank you, because even now, we know that you are with us, always and forever. Amen. So it is.
Amen. And so it is.
Whew. So we want to go and move to the after space. I'm looking at, there is one song I heard today that I thought was really amazing. I'd like to play that. We don't have to stay there too long. Or do you just want to end it? What do you want to do?
No, we're going to go over to the after space. We're going to hear this song. So for those who are able and interested, meet us over in Twitch. We're about to go into these Twitch streets. Thank you for the follow, Proxy Echoes. Thank you.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Proxy Echoes.
House 00312. I'm assuming that's a Chicago person.
What was it? What's the code?
It's just Haas 00312, just with the 312.
Okay.
May or may not be, but anyway, thank you all for the follows. We appreciate it.
When you change my name to Pastor Christmas?
Well, Mr. Man put it on you, and so it's an opportunity to even now. What was your last thing? Walk into your possibility. So we're gonna glimpse it there, and then we may be having another service soon. We might be having another service soon, folks.
Oh my goodness! Hey, Tanya, come on over to the sacred space after space, and we can have that. She said she wanted to talk about the manizing. Go ahead and put your comment in on what your question is around the manizing. And I'm more than willing to accommodate you on that conversation.
You got to come over to Twitch to hear the conversation about the manizing. So for all who are not, and for those who will see this recording in the future, we send you our love, our energy, even now, in oneness, in love, and joy. And thank you for joining us. The sacred space is only a sacred space because of you. So namaste. And as we
appreciate you, Nay, and I appreciate your leadership and filling in and carrying and working through the upsets and the disappointments that exist, and even now, like being willing to say yes to Lord, yes, Marc, and Marc being willing to say yes, Lord, yes, Nee, to your will, to God's will, higher will, and continue to be authentic selves in authentic love.
Thank you. 2 weeks from now, folks, let's just make sure that that's up.
Yes, we have a banner for that, the 19th.
Yep. And we will see you then. We will see you then.
Hold on. We got to get to Tiny's comments and we get into the second. Let's take it off. Let's move it to Twitch. I don't know that I can save to that. I got a lot of stuff that went through my head with that, Tanya. But we'll come to that in a minute. So I'm going ahead and remove it. If you're on Facebook listening, thank you so much. Please, if you want to switch over to Twitch, you can switch over to Twitch and be with us over on Twitch, right? Because we're going to play some music and have some unadulterated conversation, So I'm moving us off, Nate, to other platforms. You just give me a minute to complete that.